I'm on a quest to get every single Final Fantasy Platinum trophy, and after grabbing the first one, it's time for Final Fantasy 2. I correct the font, go with the default character names, rocks fall, everyone dies. Thanks for watching, everyone. The game begins for real in Altair. I learned the first of 15 passwords. Loot this missable chest. That's right, unlike the first game, there are actually missable items. I strip everyone naked, give Firion 2 broadswords, and teach Maria Cure. Going unarmed is generally the way to go in this game, as their damage modifier works differently to other weapons, but the TLDR is that for the early levels, unarmed does a lot more damage, but weapons do more in the late game. Firion, however, will be learning swords, as there are a few that will carry us through the early, mid, and late game. Maria also needs to start casting Cure to A, increase her MP, and B, increase the spell's level. Why is everyone naked? Well, the more damage they take, the faster their HP grows. Also, less armor means more agility and evasion. Remember, this is Final Fantasy 2. The leveling and stat growth works differently here. The more a stat, spell, or weapon is used in battle calculations, the greater the chance of it increasing. There's more to it than that, but that's all you really need to know for this video. As for my bestiary and treasure chest strategy, it's the same as the first game. Get the entries as soon as they're reasonably available or at the last opportunity. I want to be thorough whilst not being ridiculously over leveled and taking away the challenge of what is already a pretty easy game. Okay, boring stuff out of the way, let's get on with this for real. I enter Gatria to tick it off as a location, it is missable after all, and then enter Finn. Find a prince, he dies, get his ring, go back to Altair, give the ring to Hilda, learn about Mithril, and get password Wild Rose. Try saying that 5 times fast. Minwu and his canoe join the party, and I teach Maria Fire, Thunder, and Blizzard. Strip Minwu of his clothes, tag Palum, earn Apprentice Warrior for defeating my 100th enemy, tag Poft and Salamand, and enter Summit Falls. I continue fisting everything to death except when it has an elemental weakness, and then I let Maria deal with it. I kill my 300th enemy for Experienced Warrior, find Paul and Nelly, get Field Research Basic for completing 10% of the Bestiary, find Teleport and teach it to Maria, somehow got ambushed in a boss fight, slap the Sergeant to death anyway, acquire the Mithril, and teleport out. I head back to Poft, talk to Sid and learn about airships, and speak to Hilda, who mentions the Dreadnought. Hand over the Mithril to Tobal for no real reason, and make my way to Bafsk, where this guy lets us sneak through the sewers where the series introduces hidden passages. Hooray! I meet the Dark Knight, the Dreadnought takes off without us blowing it up, I get Empire's Blitz for failing, grab the pass, buy Asuna and teach it to Maria, and then start leveling it up so that it can heal more status effects. At level 1 it will just heal darkness, and I need it to do more than that. I get Legendary Warrior for killing my 500th enemy, and Thrifty Spender for earning 10,000 gil total. I speak to Sid to learn about Sunfire, Minwu leaves, and the King of Finn talks about the Goddess's Bell. Then I hire Sid's airship taxi to Kashuan Keep. And guess who tried to skip a whole dungeon? Yeah, I need that Goddess's Bell that's in a completely different part of the world. So I head to the Chocobo Forest and ride all the way to Salamand, where Joseph agrees to take us to the Goddess's Bell with his snowcraft. I teach life to Firion, Maria, and Guy, pick up the craft at Summit Falls, and head north to the snow plains and enter the snow cavern. Here I continued punching and hacking everything to death. I also got 1/10 of the game's total chests for Rookie Treasure Hunter, and get the Ancient Sword, which Firion equips straight away. This sword inflicts Curse on hit, which halves an enemy's strength and physical defense, and this is busted. Guy speaks Beaver, Firion gets blown up, I kill a turtle with Ice, Curse, and Fists for the bell, and I'm 1 chest short. And it turns out it's all the way back on B4 in a corner, but I do get it in the end. I eventually make it back to the entrance, fist Borgen, Joseph gets Indiana Jones, and the rest get out. I make a pit stop in Salamand for some ethers, which are much more expensive in this game compared to the first one, then go to Kashuan Keep for realsies, opening the seal with the Goddess's Bell. Gordon joins the party, I strip him naked, get lucky with a rare Goblin Prince encounter, and previous mini-bosses start turning up as regular encounters. Now, I had it in my head that Ethers healed 50 MP for some reason, but they actually only healed 20, which is going to make leveling up Cure a lot more difficult as its MP cost ramps up, so I'm going to have to buy a lot more of them in the future. At the top of the keep is another mini-boss, Red Soul. Stupidly high defense, made obsolete by Ancient Sword's curse. Thanks for playing, bud. I get the Eagle's Torch, teleport out, and then use it back on the first floor of the keep to acquire Sunfire. So it gets blown up, I head back to Bafsk to heal up, go down south to the Dreadnought, nearly get wiped out by super strong enemies, so I reload my autosave and go by Chocobo instead. I use the pass to climb aboard and go through this secret passage, unalive these guys for the sleep sword, which puts people to sleep, and grab the Thief's Gloves and give them to Firion, which increase his agility. Now, the higher the party leader's agility, the fewer ambushes I'll run into, in theory. I rescue Sid and Hilda, get Smart Saver for accumulating 50,000 gil total, grab the Giant's Helm and give it to Guy so he punches harder, double check I have all the missable chests, then throw the Sunfire into the engine for counterattack. The King of Finn dies, Gordon leaves the party, and I learn about Dragoons and Wyverns from him. I meet Layla, beat up her crew, get her ship, her as a party member and a pirate's mate. New party member means they have to follow the rules, so I strip Layla and give her gold hairpin to Firion to further increase his agility. Then I go back to where the Dreadnought was and get the highly missable Ferocrocos, I think that's how you say it. Head to Deist Cavern, go northeast and pick up the pendant, which means I can go back to Castle Deist and talk to this wyvern and get her egg. Then head back to Deist Cavern, this Hillgigus drops Giant's Gloves randomly, which lets Guy hit even harder. Layla has hardly any HP, so she's constantly getting one-tapped. I get lost a couple of times and have to teleport out to regain my bearings, and it's at this point that I realise that I really should have taught Maria Warp to make backtracking within dungeons much easier, going back to the previous floor instead of out of the dungeon entirely. Whoops. I get money bags for accumulating 100,000 gil and punch the chimeras harder than they can punch me. I drop the egg into the life spring, resupply and teach Maria the warp spell in Salamand, then sail to an island in the middle of nowhere. Technically, I am doing this out of sequence, but this area is quite easy and will make other areas much more manageable later. Fisting continues to be effective here, but there are enemies who are weak only to Maria's magic, so it's important that I continue to level up her magic related stats. Eventually at the bottom I take down 4 bighorns with fists and steel. Yes, they hit hard, so I make sure Maria spams heals at this point just in case. I grab the black mask, utilize the free teleport out, and return to Altair, where Hilda isn't actually Hilda, she's a snake, so I slap her silly. It's time to rescue the real Hilda, so Layla leaves and Gordon rejoins and I strip him naked again. Rules are rules. I grab some easy to miss bestiary entries west of my destination, then head into Palamecia Arena and take on the behemoth. For single bosses, I have a new strategy. I'll be using Firion only for attacking and everyone else defending, since he will inflict sleep on hit and the boss won't be able to do anything, and this will help me get his sword level up faster. One breakout, an actual princess rescue later, Gordon leaves the party again. Oh, and I start running into enemies that cast Confuse on hit, which will definitely start being a problem, and I'll have to start running away from encounters once I've got their bestiary entry. It's time to retake Castle Finn once I rest in Altair and visit the missable rebel camp location, that is. Once at the castle, Layla rejoins, I remind her of my no clothes policy, Firion 1v1s the commander, and Castle Finn is liberated and mine to explore. I earn rebel victory and learn a truck ton of new passwords and then go castle crashing. I get ambushed by this chest encounter and these sorcerers kick my ass and I wipe. On the second try I don't get ambushed, I target the sorcerers first and it goes a lot better. I also get Field Research Advanced for getting half the bestiary entries, and in the basement I get Veteran Treasure Hunter for opening half the game's chests. Once I grabbed all 26 normal chests the castle had to offer, including this chest with 4 Ryos that petrified 3/4 of my party in one turn, I grabbed the special 27th chest for the White Mask. Also, I only had 1 gold needle and gave it to Maria since she had Asuna, but it wasn't a high enough level yet, so I couldn't cure Petrify on everyone else. So I got it to level 5, which I thought was the correct level, tried using it on Guy and Layla, and it turns out 5 isn't the magic number either, it's 6. Well, I guess I need to grind that one more. So I grabbed some more gold needles, ethers and cottages in Fynn, then made my way south to Mysidia. I head down these stairs and stick the white mask on the underground statue, then head up and around to the cave of Mysidia. Find the black garb and give it to Firion to make him even more agile, stick the black mask on the doppelganger and start running away from cockatrice fights, because they're petrifying me left, right and centre, after getting the bestiary entry of course. I nearly wiped out to a ghost chest fight but clutched through anyway, and I finally hit Asuna level 6 but didn't run into another cockatrice. The dicks. But these guys did petrify 3/4 of my party again, so the Asuna grind was worth it in the end. I find the plot stick in this unassuming chest, head north to Mysidia Tower, get rudely swallowed by a Leviathan in the process. Layla is ejected from the party, I grab all the missable chests in here, give Maria the twist headband and power armlet for even better punches, and give Guy the power sash. I show my plot stick to a complete stranger, and Ricard the last Dragoon joins the party. He also has to follow the no close policy. Suboptimal? Absolutely, but rules are rules. Once I make sure I have all the missable chests, I bore this roundworm to death with Firion's sleep blade and sailed to Mysidia Tower for real this time. After a quick light show, I start the long climb up, but let me summarise it. I start running away from imps and Death's Bloon once I've gotten their bestiary entries so I don't get confused to death. I curse, sleep and dissolve the Fire Gigas and Ice Gigas. The Thunder Gigas gets sleep locked too, but Firion's damage just tickles him, so I let everyone else punch the giant to speed things up. Former party member Minwu dies and I get a bunch of stat increases and the Ultimatome, something I will never use. I make my way back to Fynn, where I learned the Cyclone password because a massive cyclone has turned up. But thanks to this pendant and Ricard, that egg from ages ago hatches, and I have both a way in and the birth of a Wyvern trophy. Not before I talk to Paul in Fynn about the cyclone though, and he lets me steal his stuff, including some agility boosting armor and the blood sword. I give Maria the agility stuff and Ricard both the strength stuff Maria had on previously and the blood sword. He's about to hit very hard. You see, the blood sword deals damage equal to the target's max HP divided by 16, then multiplied by the number of hits. This will help me shred through late game monsters, but right now other swords are more effective. I buy some ethers and elixirs and then race into the Eye of the Storm, which is a dungeon. One other thing with the blood sword, I don't want Ricard to attack undead with it, otherwise he takes damage and the undead heal instead. No thanks. But I can change what swords he has equipped in the fight itself, which is stupidly useful. The floors here aren't large, but there's multiple stairs and a fair bit of going up and down to grab treasure chests. Wizards are a rare encounter that I was worried I would have to grind for, but they magically appeared early on. Then I downed the Emperor's lackeys, prioritizing the wood golem since it can send my guys to sleep, and then the Emperor himself. That's it. The end. Just kidding, there's a new big bad in town, the Dark Knight, and the new Palamecia trophy too, I guess. I learned the Palamecia password from Hilda, talk to Sid, who dies for some reason, buy more ethers and elixirs, inherit Sid's airship, and grab some new bestiary entries east of my next destination, Castle Palamecia, which I go into via airship. I win a Sunblade in my very first battle, which is a good upgrade for Ricard, fall down this trap hole, finally spam Cure outside of battle long enough to get it to level 16 and magic tactics. Then it's time for the scariest encounter in the game, 5 girls that can stun everyone and kill on hit, and first time around they do. Luckily I had quick save before that and got it on the second try. I tried to cast stop on them with Maria spamming Hourglass that I had picked up, but despite those being largely unsuccessful, I get it done. For another Sunblade. I eventually meet the Dark Knight Leon at the top. He's the guy that was with us at the very beginning of the game. Turns out the Emperor isn't dead, Ricard dies needlessly, and the final dungeon reveals itself. Leon changes sides again and joins the party for Allied Offensive. I learned the Jade Passage password from Hilda, the last password needed for Memory Lane. I grab Excalibur from the woman in Castle Deist for Sword of Myth. I refresh my Ethers and Elixirs, give Leon Excalibur, a Sunblade and the rest of Ricard's equipment, do some bestiary entry hunting near the Jade Passage for the Mantis King, then make my way to the end game. While slaying dragons with Virian's swords, his sword level hits level 16 for weapons tactics, and honestly at this point I'm just melting through everything, including chest bosses. Maria and Guy don't attack during the boss fights simply because it's quicker time-wise to just use Virian's Curse Sleep Sword combo, and Leon using Bloodsword and Excalibur, sometimes swapping out the Bloodsword against Undead. I walk past a magic shop I don't need to use, and get through to Pandemonium, the final location for Adventurous Wayfarer. I nearly died to Death Riders, so after defeating one, I just flee from all other Death Rider encounters. Same with kills, screw them. In fact, I was auto-fleeing from everything at this point, and I accidentally did it for the ultra-rare 1% Iron Giant random encounter. A party of 4 kills mercilessly gun me down, but luck is on my side. As I go back through the floor, I run into the Iron Giant in the same spot. That Warmech luck from Final Fantasy 1 isn't carrying over, thank God. Despite being super rare, the Iron Giant is an absolute joke and I slay him easily. I deal with all the stupid hidden passages and defeat silly chest encounters. Tiamat makes a return from Final Fantasy 1 and dies just as easily. Curls keep appearing with extreme regularity. King Behemoths can't be fled from, but they dissolve very fast. I get Masamune in a hidden room, and this weapon is busted, but not as an equipped item. It casts Haste 11 on everyone when used as an item in battle, which increases hit rate, just like in Final Fantasy 1, meaning more attacks connect. But unlike Final Fantasy 1, this effect does stack. I get the final chest for Legendary Treasure Hunter, and then it's time for the final showdown against the Emperor. I'm sure this will be a close one. Thanks for playing, bud. I get Field Research Professional for completing the Bestiary, War's End for beating the game, and the Master of 2 Platinum Trophy. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time for Final Fantasy 3.